Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new episode of our F1 24 career mode and our final episode of our rookie season as a driver for the Williams F1 team, our last race as well with this prestigious historic team in Formula 1, coming off of unfortunately our third mechanical failure of the season in the Qatar sprint weekend, while our teammate of Alex Albon actually scored his first points for the first time since the United States back in Texas. So it was nice to see him get back into a bit of a flow, but it's the final weekend. The championship's been determined both ways for several rounds now. Max Verstappen, of course, winning his fourth consecutive Formula 1 world title, just like Sebastian Vettel did for Red Bull back in the day. Can Verstappen, however, go and make it 5 consecutive in Season 2? That's the big question. Red Bull as well, they've won the Constructors' Championship, all locked up there as well, as we really just get to come into this weekend under no pressure, no threats of anything. We're not really at risk of losing any spots and points for the driver standings or gaining anything, and in the Constructors, it's the same situation. We can't lose any spots, we're not going to gain any spots in the Constructors, so this weekend, there's not a lot of meaning behind it other than just bringing it home one final time behind the wheel of a Williams F1 car before we make a very big leap into what is going to shape the future of this career mode, and that's going to the 11th team in Formula 1 with Trackhouse Racing, now the second American team on the grid. And there will be plenty of things that are going to be going along with this Trackhouse expansion to come along that I'm not going to spoil in today's episode. You'll start to maybe see some things trickle in line in the next episode. I don't know if there's going to be an off-season video because there is going to be really not a lot of news. All the off-season stuff's kind of been announced, and I'm not expecting a lot of driver transfers as well, so I think we can kind of condense the off-season into the beginning part of the Bahrain Grand Prix Season 2 opening video. But nonetheless, we're not going to focus on any of that tonight. We're focused in on just having a good run and as well getting that good qualifying effort that will allow us to do that here as we are ready to get behind the wheel in qualifying one more time. Now, we will be taking a grid penalty. If you paid attention to the first few moments of the video, you saw me changing some parts. So yeah, we will be taking a grid penalty, about 5 spots or so, but we as well see some AI often take grid penalties in Abu Dhabi, so we might actually not be in that bad of shape. Nonetheless, focusing in on the first qualifying session here, rounding the penultimate turn, heading down towards that final corner on a fresh set of soft compound tires, hard on the gas on the exit there to the line. We go P8 just behind Albon, but we would be separated by 1 spot at the end of Q1 as that was in the drop zone. P16, while Albon currently 14th place, as we need to find a bit of a pickup here. We don't need anything drastic, we just need something. I was really looking for about a 10th to 2 tenths now as we get through this back straightaway chicane in pretty good form, and we find about a 10th, and then by the end of the lap we get to about that 2 tenths kind of area that I was seeking as we round these final couple of corners. So it's going to be about 3 tenths, which should be enough to get us through into Q2 to the line. It will be enough. P12, we would drop further down the order, but not enough. P14, but however, Alex Albon, P17 on the grid, a couple of tenths of a second off of myself, and yeah, unfortunate for him, not even 2 tenths actually, just a little over a tenth. Ocon will be the last one going through as we come through into Q2. So now, into Q2, what can we do here? My expectation was probably around the same P12 area, because 12 to 13, 14, because I didn't quite feel like I had much more in the car what I showed at the end of Q1. So expecting to make maybe 2 laps once again here in Q2, but we'll wait and see now as we round the long sweeping left-hander there, and we were already about a tenth off of P11, Pierre Gasly, as we have just a couple of corners remaining at this point now, getting the car pretty well hooked up, but through this penultimate turn and 1 corner remains, hard on the brakes now, and then pick up that throttle as quick as we can. A lot of grip on the exit. P12 at the line, and I could not go faster on my second attempt, so that was it. And at the end of this session, it would be P12, but keep in mind, we do have a grid penalty, so it's going to come down to if other cars take grid penalties or not, and I think there will be some. Gasly, myself, Tsunoda, Ocon, Ricardo, all out. Let's get ready to go lights out for the final time in our rookie season as a Formula 1 driver here in Abu Dhabi.
So here we are, ready to go racing for one final time this year. Another season of victories, controversies and rivalries lies in our wake. And just one challenge remains, here in the United Arab Emirates, on a circuit that made its spectacular debut back in 2009. Welcome to the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. The Yas Marina circuit is made up of 3.28 miles of track, featuring 16 corners with 2 very long straights. DRS zones going into the heavy braking zones of both Turn 5 and Turn 7 offer plenty of potential for overtaking. The circuit comes with its fair share of tricky corners, which will certainly test a driver's braking management. Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks like for today's race. Charles Leclerc lines up on pole position, edging out Max Verstappen, who'll start from P2. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Sainz, Norris, Stroll, Perez, Gasly, Fernando Alonso, Ocon, Ricciardo, Magnussen, Golden Boy, Russell, Hülkenberg, Joe, Oscar Piastri, Bottas, Hamilton, Tsunoda, and Alex Albon picks up the last spot on the grid. Which of these talented drivers will come out on top today?
Gary, it's Seb. You got me, bud?
Of course, what's going on?
Just wanted to wish you luck. Finish this season off strong. I'm so proud of what you have achieved in your first year. Good luck tonight.
Right, Seb, thank you. And thank you, everybody. Let's end this on a high note.
Here we go then, the formation lap is underway and the track temperature looks warm. And that may or may not play into some of the team's hands in today's race.
Everybody on the medium compound tire, Charles Leclerc will lead the field to green, looking for his 10th career win. Can he do it, or can Verstappen get one step closer to win number 70?
So as all the cars take their positions on the grid, the teams will be hoping their strategies pay off for them in today's race. The question I'm asking is which teams have got it right, which ones have got it horribly wrong?
Thank you, Gary, for your work this year. You've made some mistakes, but you're a rookie. You've done many great things, and you're going to go a long way in this sport. Thank you.
Are you going to miss me too, James?
That's to be determined, Mark.
Ready to roll one final time with Williams. It's been a heck of a first season. You know, James mentioned we've had some rookie mistakes, some spins, some errors, crashing out of races and whatnot, and we've learned, we've adapted, we've had some high moments as well that make us a bit of a hot market driver going into the future, and we have, of course, chosen our future at Trackhouse Racing, but now we're racing here for 29 laps in Abu Dhabi. Leclerc and his Ferrari teammate get away while the 3 wide into turn 1. Norris up the inside of Verstappen, who's in the middle of a sandwich there, and now as well you see Sainz go around the outside, get up into P2. It's a Ferrari 1-2. Ferrari has been on it lately and setting themselves up well for season 2. However, keep in mind we do have an aerodynamic regulation change coming into season 2, so it's going to be interesting to see what teams are going to be able to capitalize on it versus what teams will not. Nonetheless, down this long DRS straight on this opening lap, of course, no DRS enabled. You see Perez there behind Verstappen. How about Lance Stroll just in front of Fernando Alonso? Stroll lunges one up the inside of Perez, and if you guys have been paying attention, of course, Lance Stroll been on the podium in the last 2 Grand Prix. He's been absolutely on it, making Canada proud, as now, here you go, Verstappen around the outside of Lando Norris on the long run towards that long sweeping left-hander. Sainz going defensive there, can't quite get away, and you see Norris is able to just maintain position over Max Verstappen. Leclerc running away early on in this race. Now, this episode was recorded on the newest patch that came out earlier in the week, 1.7, which is supposed to reduce AI trains, way more, and it does it to an extent, but as usual, there's still work to be done. But it's at a point where I can at least bear through it now and not hate that it's, really rough. But there's still certainly some training that needs to be fixed. So we'll wait and see, of course, how that goes as the career mode goes on at this point now. But as we come to lap 2, focusing in on this race, we got up to P9 on the start. We started P12 because there was other grid penalties handed out, but I just went literally around the outside in turn 1 and was able to gain a few spots now. So I was just kind of settling in here behind Pierre Gasly. You look on the track map, you can see see a bit of space between Ricciardo and the group of cars behind, because that was a quicker Piastri and Russell trying to both move their way forward past the slower traffic now, as you can see as well. Leclerc running away from Carlos Sainz and so on and so forth as we continue to follow in behind Pierre Gasly, but now he's lost DRS to Fernando Alonso, and I'm starting to put the Frenchman under pressure. Where is Gasly's future? Is it going to be with Alpine, or will he go elsewhere for Season 2? That is something that is yet to be determined here now as we go into Season 2. So you can see a big run on the back though of Gasly with that DRS. Here we go to the outside, trying to make the move on the Alpine. Now Alpine's had one heck of an upgrade over this season. They have started to consistently become a team that can fight for points, and as well Williams of course has been right there in that mix with them now. If Alpine would have had that pace that they have now a little bit earlier in the season, I would have been curious to see what they would have had, as we're slipping and sliding all over the place here all of a sudden. Now I'm not doing anything out of the ordinary, but all of a sudden I got no grip and it carries on to the exit of the final turn, just slipping everywhere. And now under pressure again from the Frenchman, who looks to the right side. Into turn one we take a defensive line, so we stay ahead just by that. Now as I'm just hanging on for grip, and again slip and sliding, another slip. We catch it every time, but that time we had to chase it off the circuit. We lose 3 positions. Gasly, Ocon, Ricciardo all go through. I just have no grip the last half lap.
Okay, just back it down a bit and cool the rear tyres for me.
You hear the message from Mark, back it down, cool the rear tires, because that was really the main issue, was those rear tires just absolutely lit up here now as we come through to lap 9. At this point, we're not terribly far out from the pit window now, but George Russell and Oscar Piastri have now run us down, so they're just behind us. Lewis Hamilton a few more spots back in what should be his final race for Mercedes. Now, of course, there's always things that could happen interestingly over the offseason. We'll have to wait there and not get too far ahead of ourselves now. As you see, Lando Norris going for a move on Carlos Sainz, trying to take P2 away from the Spaniard now, and they're going to be wheel to wheel on the exit of the chicane, but it's going to be Sainz getting back through, but he's got no DRS while Norris again will, and here comes Verstappen as well. Who's going to come out on top of this battle? I think it's going to be Norris, because Verstappen has to stay tucked in behind the Ferrari, and Norris is going to go the long way around into P2, still looking for his first win in Formula 1. He goes through into runner-up, but he's 3.3 seconds behind Charles Leclerc, but it wasn't over a lap later. Sainz going to bring it right back to Norris into the chicane. Very close quarters, maybe even a bit of contact right there, wheel to wheel, and now Sainz on the left side again gets past, but this is a battle that's certainly heating up. And then as well as that was all happening, I was in a battle of my own, making a move on Daniel Ricciardo. You can see as well the 2 Alpines going at it. Ricciardo lunges up the inside of Ocon. We're wheel to wheel with the Australian, trying to avoid contact. Leads to a bit of a slow exit, but hold on, we're still within fighting distance of the V-carb. So here we go with Slipstream using our battery. We pull back out of the line to the right side. George Russell feasting on what he's seeing just behind. We sail it off into the corner, and we get the job done. Back into the top 10 here. Now the rear tires have gotten cooled quite a bit, and now we find ourselves in some decent, respectable shape once again, as now we can close back in on the back of Esteban Ocon. Here now is actually trouble behind. That's Nico Hulkenberg with a mechanical failure here coming to lap 12. The smoke pouring out of the back of the Haas. The final race where there's only one American team on the grid, and it's a bit of a heartbreaker for the Haas team now, as you see Verstappen going for a move on Lando Norris here on lap 12, and he lunges one up the outside of Sainz. He's going to have that preferred lane. Verstappen tries to lunge it deep, but not going to be enough. But nonetheless, Verstappen into third behind Sainz, who continues to fight like a lion to keep everyone behind and help his teammate, of course, of Charles Leclerc. As you guys know, Sainz, my future teammate, in his defensive drives like that make it exciting to think that he's going to be my teammate next season. Of course, our teammate battle this season has been an interesting one, where I feel like Albon's had, similar pace to us, but he's had a lot rough luck when it comes to some of these races, and specifically strategy hasn't quite seemed to benefit Albon this season, so it really hasn't been that great of a season. And I think as well it's been a lot closer than, say, the points show now, as Charles Leclerc is pitting at the end of lap 13, coming to 14 at 5-second advantage over now Max Verstappen, who had been able to get past Carlos Sainz with the DRS down the long straightaway. So Leclerc comes in, Verstappen's going to join him. You see Stroll stays out with Carlos Sainz, Perez as well, and Pierre Gasly, and I am as well coming into the pits at the conclusion of this lap here. Now he's following Esteban Ocon actually into the pits now. So get down to that 50-mile-per-hour limit, no problems whatsoever. We'll get rid of the medium compound tires. Lewis Hamilton just behind as well, going to elect to make a pit stop now as we dive into our pit box, hoping for no issues now, but immediately you see the right rear with an issue there. They struggle to get that wheel on. We're going to lose some time, and as well, you're going to see we're going to come out a little bit behind Ocon, who's already rounding that turn 1 pit exit, so not what we want to see there. Of course, one final stop on the season. Of course, there's got to be something that goes wrong. It is what it is, of course, now, but you can't really get upset. There's nothing to lose. There's nothing to gain here in this final episode of the season. It really is just about having fun and getting to the end of the season here. Now, as you can see, some other pit stops happening. Leclerc will be out in front, but it's going to be Norris back in P2. Verstappen will cycle through into the 3rd position, and then it's going to be Fernando Alonso to follow. Then it'll be Stroll, and Sainz has given up quite a few spots here as we come around this first turn. And as well for us, it looks like it's going to be a gain as they're in front. There's Sainz just now. He's even behind Esteban Ocon. We are up into P8, but here comes Sergio Perez, who had gotten behind. He is going to breeze past me with the DRS, of course. That Red Bull absolutely flying there, so we'll settle in behind the Mexican driver and try to hold off the pair of British duo drivers here. Hamilton, of course, and George Russell there, P10, P11. Hamilton was able to get Russell there through the pit cycle, so quite impressive there. He did pit, of course, a lap earlier than George did, as we continue just kind of sitting behind Perez. Now, knowing I'm not going to be able to do a proper fight against Perez, I was not going to try and force a fight with him. I said, okay, let's just use him to drag me up towards the car we are trying to fight. That's Esteban Ocon in the Alpine, having a great run, by the way, here tonight under the lights in Abu Dhabi now. So we're just going to let Perez drag us along as we try to maintain, and as long as we have the DRS from that Red Bull, we shouldn't really be too much under pressure from Hamilton or Russell. I say that, and you can see I'm trying to break the slipstream a little bit, just trying to keep Hamilton and them at bay, but now Perez has run down Ocon. He's going for an overtake here now, and we're going to close up right on the back of this battle. Ocon doesn't really put up much of a fight, surprisingly, against a former teammate there, and Perez is able to slip through in the Red Bull. So now, as we try to reel in Esteban Ocon, coming to lap 19, approaching just 10 laps to go on the season, we are in striking distance of the Alpine opening that rear wing. Does Ocon have anything to defend over us now? He's going for a bit of a defensive drive towards this hairpin, chicane, as we dive one up the right-hand side. Will be wheel to wheel. Can we get the job done? And it's going to be close. He's going to have a good exit. He continues wheel to wheel with us. This is far from over. We're going to drag race down this long straightaway, and now here comes Lewis Hamilton, who's going to go up the left side. Hold on. He's going to go through and show the nose on Ocon, who defends over him, but now Hamilton going to come through and take the position. We drop down to P10 as we slip a little bit, but now 10 laps to go. Let's go through the grid.
Charles Leclerc leads with just 10 laps to go in the season finale from Abu Dhabi. What an ending to this season for him, as Ferrari look to build on momentum going into next season.
It looks like Lando Norris will have to wait a bit longer to score his first win as well. Nearly 5 seconds off of Leclerc, which will be near impossible to make up. How about Lance Stroll as well? What an end to the year he has had.
Sorry to interrupt, guys, but also, how about Alpine? What a turnaround for them this year too. Now, a regular point scoring team again, after we thought they would be a backmarker all year long.
Lewis Hamilton in 9th place in what is expected to be his final race with Mercedes, unless something crazy happens over the off-season.
There he goes now, looking for an overtake on Esteban Ocon. Owen just behind the pair of them. Solid but quiet night for Owen in the Williams.
And a solid rookie season for the only rookie on the grid this year as well. A lot of spotlight on the future driver at Trackhouse Racing. What can he do next year?
I think next year is all about building a foundation.
What a season it, of course, has been, and that's our final through the grid of the season now as we maintain behind Ocon, who's also been overtaken now by Lewis Hamilton. So Hamilton into P8, but the question is, can he drive away? I think the biggest problem with the train effect is in F124 is the DRS is just still too strong, and that's why we see an Alpine able to maintain with a Mercedes and lunge one up the inside of a Mercedes, but now maybe leaves himself vulnerable to me up the inside, but go when he shuts the door immediately. Their contact after hopping over the curbing. idiot, man. I should have known better with that move on him. We lose track position there. Ocon's able to maintain, of course, but it is Esteban Ocon. I was not surprised that he turned across my nose in one bit at all, as Piastri was able to slip through as well. Not a great run again for Oscar Piastri, but it does sound like he will be back next season with McLaren. Then what can he do behind the wheel of the McLaren next season? I think it's going to be a very important season for the Australian now as we maintain this 12th running spot. How about Albon? He's worked his way through into P13 after being down in the bottom couple of spots in the first part of this race, really the first half of this Grand Prix now, but you can see Ocon's been overtaken by George Russell as I'm starting to slip and slide a little bit again, but now Ocon as well, he'll be under pressure from Piastri. It seems like that Alpine's really starting to fade as these tires wear, and I think it's going to be under attack from myself as well, hopefully within another lap or two, or maybe very soon on the next straightaway, depending on how he gets through this chicane, which was quite slow. We're right up on the back of him, but he's going to have DRS from Piastri, so it's going to take quite a bit, but hold on, we have a good run on the back of the Frenchman. We'll pull out to the right side, and we've been so strong into this corner around the outside a few times already, and sure enough, sweeping around the outside. Clear. We take the position from Esteban Ocon now and set our sights on really just trying to maintain with Piastri, Hamilton, and Russell, and then if an opportunity opens itself up, maybe to pass Piastri, we can get ourselves into a points-paying finish before this Grand Prix comes to an end. Right now, it's Leclerc, Norris, and Alonso. Your top three, Stroll, Sainz, Verstappen, just behind as the battles continue in front of us as Ocon continues to draw back over a second behind at this point now. So clearly the Alpine is starting to struggle to find a pace in that car now as I am just trying to maintain here coming to the final 5 laps of this season. What a season, as I mentioned already, it has been here for us, the highs and the lows. It really has felt like a true rookie season. I have been far from perfect behind the wheel of this Williams car, but we as well have had some moments of greatness with top 5s, including that 4th place effort in the Dutch Grand Prix back in Zandvoort. That really put our name on the map, and some of the drivers we've had in the wet have been quite impressive as well. A top 3 starting position at one point this season. We have done some standout things that put our name on other teams' radar, and of course we had an offer to stick with Williams, we had an offer to go to McLaren and replace Oscar Piastri, but we went bold. We didn't go straight to the car that was the best on the grid or one of the best. We went to a new team that's unproven but grants us a unique challenge, but also diverse opportunities to prove what open wheel Formula 1 racers can do in other series of racing around the world, and that was the option I went for. It's a long-term project with Trackhouse Racing. We're not going to be winning races in Season 2, with the first season with Trackhouse. We might not be winning races in the second season even, but only time will tell. As you can see, Verstappen now, 3 to go, going for a move on Fernando Alonso. He's past Stroll, and now he looks for an overtake there. Can't quite get it done, but I think this is far from over, unless Stroll maybe is able to get Verstappen caught off guard. Here he goes, up the inside, and you see Alonso, no speed at all, and Stroll's going to maybe be able to make this happen up the inside. He will. Verstappen's going to drop back behind Stroll into P4. Leclerc continues to run away from Norris. Those two drivers both on an island of their own now, as I'm just kind of settling in behind, watching these 3 drivers together, and then of course there's that pack of cars up in front. So they get split up, but then they still remain in a pack of a few or a handful of cars, and they just train for the rest of the race, which is still really annoying, and that's kind of the problem that EA is trying to work on, their Codemasters and whatnot. But 2 laps to go, and the fight continues. Lance Stroll has been able to find a groove and some pace to beat Fernando Alonso in the last few rounds and put himself on the podium. He might do it again. The 3rd consecutive race, is it possible? They continue wheel to wheel. Alonso feeling the pressure from the Canadian, and now Stroll's got the rear wing open, but here comes Verstappen. Alonso's a bit off the pace. Verstappen's tucked in behind the Aston Martin. Alonso goes defensive around the outside. Can he make it happen? It's going to be close, but Stroll's going to get it done. Lance Stroll into P3, looking for his 3rd consecutive podium. What a drive. As that was all happening, I was all over the back of Oscar Piastri, putting some pressure on him here with 2 laps to go as he lunges up the inside of Lewis Hamilton. They are wheel to wheel. I show the nose. He shuts the door immediately there. That time, though, I of course realized that was a possibility after the moment with Ocon earlier, so I backed out of it before anything happens now, as Albon's actually having a bit of a scrap with Pierre Gasly. Final lap of our rookie season is underway. Thank you everybody for the support in Season 1 of this F124 career mode. I really hope you have enjoyed the experience. It's been a blast for me at times, especially in the last half of the season. The first part of the season was quite frustrating with the bugs and the issues with F124, but they've gotten it cleaned up quite a bit, and I'm quite happy about that here now as we roll into Season 2. But coming into the final moments of this final lap, Verstappen looking for an overtake. Stroll's got nothing. Is Alonso going to lunge one of the inside? Yes, he will. There'll be wheel to wheel, but he's already clear. Stroll maintains, but, well, one of them going to harvesting. It looks like Alonso has not done a good job managing his battery. No pace, even with the DRS, and now he loses another spot to Verstappen. Stroll's going to maintain P3, and as well, Sainz gets an opportunity at Alonso, but Alonso will stay ahead. It's all Charles Leclerc here tonight in Abu Dhabi. He is a few moments away from getting his 10th career win in Formula 1 and ending the season at the highest possible mark. Now, as our last chance for points is coming up right here, Piastri was able to pass Hamilton, who seems to be struggling, as I don't think he harvested enough battery. So now we are going to have an opportunity right here on Hamilton to go past him and take the win, or not the win, take P10. I wish it was the win, but he goes into harvesting, and here we go to the outside of the 7-time world champion. 1 win on the season. We clear him, but we go way wide on the exit of the corner, and we slip off the track. We're going to come back alongside. We'll come back to it. Leclerc rounds the final turn. 10th career win in Formula 1 for Charles Leclerc on the season finale.
Let's go, guys. What a season. We're right where we need to be for next year.
Leclerc says it, they're where they need to be for next season with Ferrari, as we had a bit of a power slide there, just hanging on. We were able to maintain in front of Hamilton. Our final race with Williams, it's going to be 1 point to the line. P10 in the season finale here from Abu Dhabi. What a drive. Thank you, team. Thank you, everybody. James, everybody that worked with me all season long. I appreciate you guys, and I'm going to miss you all next year.
Thanks again, Gary. Good luck next year. We will be cheering you on.
And Leclerc to the line, to the checkered flag. It's King Charles today. He wins.
Leclerc is finishing this season with so much momentum. He tried to keep the championship alive, but Verstappen just had a little bit too much consistency in it and too much dominance earlier in the season for Leclerc to be able to make up for it. And going into Season 2, I feel like we could see the tides change a little bit, especially with the regulation changes on the way. Leclerc is going to be hoping Ferrari, of course, gets it right. But still, it is to be determined if Hamilton will actually end up at Ferrari or not for Season 2. That's going to be a big deal, I think, for the Ferrari team. But nonetheless, there's a lot of questions and just, uncertainty with these regulation changes. If Ferrari can finally give Leclerc the car he needs to go fight for his first world championship. Lance Stroll, 3 consecutive podiums to end the season, and he was able to beat Fernando Alonso in quite dramatic fashion. Just straight up outraced him today under the lights in Abu Dhabi. What a drive for Stroll, who suddenly is coming into his own going into Season 2. Can he keep up his momentum there? Alonso ended up 5th. Sainz, our future teammate, P6 at Trackhouse Racing there, as you see the rest of the finishing order. Thank you guys so much for the support in Season 1. I can't wait to see you guys in Season 2. There will be a few extra days in between. But yeah, we end up P11 in the standings and P12 for a teammate of Alex Albon. I'll see you guys next season where we go over all the new changes and whatnot. It's going to be a lot of exciting things to, of course, see and go over. So I'll see you guys then. Thank you for watching and have a great day.